Hello world, this is Shruti Pandey, and today I have with me another amazing guest, Avnish Anand, who is not just the first founding member or the founding team, but also the COO of CaratLane. And need I give introduction more about him or CaratLane? I can just say one liner to make it really short and brief. Is CaratLane is one of the largest online diamond jewellery that we can have in a conservative market and a traditional market that India has always seen. So kudos to Avnish and to his team for making something like this, making something unthinkable happen in an Indian market. Many congratulations to you, Avnish. And I'm pretty sure my wishes worked the charm and you had a great Diwali this year, right?
Yes, Shruti. Thank you so much for having me here, and thank you for your congratulations.
It's so good to have you, sir. And I have three questions for you. I could have made a fourth one, but I didn't want to get into a little personal things. But these three questions are very important for me to understand from you. My first question being, you were the first employee or the founding employee at CaratLane, which is something really remarkable. What does it even take to be an employee, number one at any company or organization?
See, it is a set of circumstances. Okay. The first circumstance is that, growing up, whatever I thought was going to be the dream job situation, I was in a situation like that, and I was not enjoying it. It was to say not exciting enough or not challenging enough. So that was one motivation was already there. My wife and my best friend worked in an internet organization called Bharat Matrimony. Their job I used to find far more interesting and far more exciting. This is around 2007, so the startup thing was starting to happen in India, and you at least were the idea of starting or doing something like that was obviously interesting. And I think I have a natural interest in something which involves taking a little bit of a risk or taking a little bit of a chance in life. So I'm mentally predisposed like that. And finally, this chance just came along, and there are lots of things which fell in place. And even though I knew nothing about jewelry, knew nothing about retail or nothing about internet, I got this chance. I wouldn't have been employee number one or just part of the founding team. The plan for Gopal and Mithun, who started the business, was to have a 4-member team like me, 4 people like me, to build the business. I also joined because I thought if there are 3 others who are taking the same chance, then that's fine, we'll all work on it together. Right. Unfortunately, I would say fortunately, none of the other guys, they couldn't find anybody else who was willing to join, essentially. So then I was stuck being employee number one or founding member or whatever. The good thing was that both Gopal and Mithun showed a lot of confidence, and they let me learn and do things. They understood that I had not done this ever. They also knew that we were building something which was going to be hard to build and it would take a lot of time. So in that sense, and we had not raised money or funding, so we were under no pressure from from investors. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, it was a wonderful opportunity for me to do something which I think was more exciting or interesting to do without the usual kind of pressures which come, right? And at the same time, it was hard because we were trying to do something which was crazy almost at that point in time. Not only finding customers, but even finding employees and partners, or vendors to work with you. So it was a hard task, but the other favorable circumstances made it amazing for me.
That is a very, very, a difficult journey and a hard ride put in such a simple way, so that even youngsters these days are inspired to be that employee number one, because usually people are scared. Plus, in Indian household like ours, our parents' first question, right? Like, where is the company? Where are you really going to join and stuff like that? So that was really a very inspiring story, and you taking a chance despite others backing out is commendable in a big way. So you were about to say something.
No, but I'll tell you one more thing to just complete that point, that I think my wife was very supportive and my parents were super supportive, to the extent that we thought that what is the worst thing which will happen? That if this didn't go well, I would be out of it in 6 or 12 months. and they were willing to support me financially also if I could find something quickly. So, that kind of support also just made it easy that, okay, what is the worst thing which will, and when you work with that mindset that you think, okay, what is the worst possibility and, how bad can that be, then it just makes it a little clearer for you whether you can do that or not.
I think me and many others in this crazy ride of our corporate journey, I think this part, especially of our podcast, we are going to show it to our parents that we need to have a supportive background, right? Be it your partner, be it your family. Otherwise, we can't take this journey. That really completes the answer. So thank you. Thank you for interrupting me there and adding that point, because it makes total sense. And I want to understand from you another big question about CaratLane, this one. So, the idea of selling loose diamond or jewellery online to building India's first and most successful online diamond or jewellery store is a very, very ambitious thought, and a very ambitious one, really. What were all of you really thinking, given the fact that India is a very traditional market and very conservative, where when it comes to, purchasing jewelry, everybody is like, okay, I'll go into the shop, have a look and feel of it and stuff like that. So did all those things not scare you while creating this business around jewelry per se?
So, you have to first understand how did this come into being.
Yeah.
There are 3 reasons why Mithun thought there was a business idea around this. One was that he saw that, from a jewelry design point of view, every jeweler in this country was focused on the wedding category. Everybody was focused on the 1 lakh price point or the 1 lakh plus price point.
Right.
So he saw a clear opportunity in the sub 1 lakh price point, where you could make beautiful jewelry for people to wear every day. So, while everybody talks about the online part of our business, the part that we found this niche and this great opportunity in the sub 1 lakh price point is a part people sometimes either are not aware of or they don't appreciate it enough.
Yes.
That was one big opportunity which was there. The second was that, his family anyways ran jewelry businesses. And he saw that the business model, which was based on putting a lot of inventory in the store and then waiting for customers to come, was also very inefficient and very broken. So then that was the second point, that you could build a business model differently, right? And how could that business model be built was using elements of online and digital. While he was studying in the US and working in the US in the solitaire business, he saw how it was changing in America with Blue Nile and James Allen. So that kind of, while he was aware of the problem and the opportunity, it also gave him a sense of the possible solution. So when these 3 things came together, you at least had some hope that there was an opportunity. And we got lucky. There are many people who have tried this before us. Many people tried this after us also. But like I said, right, sometimes everything falls into place and you get lucky. And I will not deny that we have not gotten lucky and things didn't fall in place for us. And at the same time, I'll also be honest, we didn't write out a vision statement that where do we want to be in 10 years or 20 years or what's the thing which we want to do. We started with this basic 3 elements that there is an opportunity to build a business because of this, and we'll build it and we'll see how it goes. There was no plan to hit this revenue number or become this omni thing or whatever in so many years. And we'll be very honest and upfront about it. There was no grand vision like that, but there was definitely a problem statement which was very, very clear and sharply defined, and a possible way to solve that. And we just stuck to it, that let's keep working on it.
I mean, thank you for saying that out loud, because a lot of people, especially for CaratLane's journey, don't understand or don't really see that you guys really found out what the niche of the market was, and you were not gambling for the heck of it. I mean, while I was researching, it came to me from here and there, in the news and Mithun's story and your replies to some other podcasts and things like that, but it was not evidently there for people to know. So I'm so happy that
the online part everybody catches, the design and other parts people don't get. So that's, you're not the first.
I actually wanted a place where, CaratLane's journey is like there out loud, and which is why of the different questions that I was thinking for you, I wanted to keep this one because it makes sense. Mithun's background, he always coming from the jewellery background, he knew this market. It was like his whole life he was doing a product research or a market research, right? And then being in US, he knew something about the e-commerce. So it's like just marrying the two into something and see how that marriage goes. So it's really, really a perfect story. And I think again, the many times I keep complimenting you guys is not enough, because like you rightly mentioned, many came before you, many came after you, but the way you guys have been there and stuck to the ground without having unnecessary vision and mission is really amazing, which makes me want to move to the third and final question that I have with you is, the partnership part. Now that we see CaratLane, I mean, when I see your profile and you were the founding member, it was just CaratLane, right? But a couple of years back, you guys also partnered with Tanishq as a brand, and the partnership came into picture. While everything bootstrapped and not having investors is another, right? Do you really think partnership is a necessity, or like what is the dynamics really into having a partnership for a business?
See, it says a Tanishq partnership, but essentially it came into being because Tanishq, or rather Titan, invested in CaratLane and took a majority stake. So, we wanted to make sure that the fact that Titan or Tanishq was an investor in CaratLane and we were now going to work together on some pieces should come out in one line. And we just thought that a Tanishq partnership brought it out in the best possible way, right? So that is why it says a Tanishq partnership, and the fact is that we are part of Titan in that sense, right? That they are the largest majority investor in CaratLane. Now, in terms of how that partnership works, obviously there is a lot of good that has come out of that partnership. Okay. First, the fact that there is a Tanishq association just spelled out very clearly helped build a lot of trust for the brand. Tanishq, if you would notice that our retail footprint really started to take off after the association happened. So there's a lot of learning which we got from them in terms of retail locations, retail operations, partners. A lot of Tanishq partners are CaratLane partners also who run stores. A lot of understanding on how to make a profitable P&L, margins, sourcing, also a lot of elements over there, and obviously having a board which has a lot more know-how on building a large business. And at the same time, I think the biggest credit which I can give to them is that they have let us operate independently all this while. So while we benefit from everything, the trust of CaratLane, the trust of Tanishq, as we say, but we also have the spirit of CaratLane to go with it. So everything which is unique, or I would say good about CaratLane, combined with all the benefits of Tanishq, right, which comes from there, is, we in a way have the best of both worlds. And I think that is the beauty of this partnership.
That makes sense. If I were to ask you one last question, I mean, I've exhausted my 3 questions, and pardon me if this gets too personal, you can ask me to skip it and I can remove this also. But so you started off with, so I wanted to understand from you is, you were the founding member, you are the founding member of CaratLane. For many years you were a part of it, then you went to venturing out on other gigs and experiments for yourself, and then you came back. What was that journey for you like? I mean, starting off for a baby that was yours, then going to another adventures, and then coming back. How is that life cycle altogether, if that's okay to ask?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. See, that is why we were not making such a big deal out of it. So I thought that we had done well, we had got the business to a certain stage. We were based in Chennai, and we had our first child then. And I thought, okay, let's raise our child closer to home. So I come from Ranchi, so we thought, let's go to Delhi and we'll raise our child over there. I never thought that what it would become, right? If you had this grand plan that this is what it was going to become, then you would have said, no, let me not let go of this opportunity. And that also goes to show, right? Also in terms of how naive you were, that okay, because there was no precedent or no reference point that what something like this could become. The good thing which happened is that because I went and worked, I told you earlier, right, that I had no experience in digital or internet or retail or jewelry, that I went to a larger internet organization which had, at least more things in place. So I think I got to learn in a more formal setup like that about a lot of internet things or product management or marketing things. And I think that is one learning which really helped me when I came back to CaratLane. So, and it helped that in 2015 we opened an office in Bombay. I had my fill of Delhi by then. And again, it happened in a very funny situation that I was going to go interview somewhere else, and I asked Mithun to give me a reference check for that interview. And he just said, okay, why don't you come back? And we just said, okay, but how? And he said, we are opening an office in Bombay. So we said, okay. I just spoke to my wife, and in 1 hour we were okay to move. So it just happened like that. And I think when we came back, CaratLane had moved a little more forward in their journey. It was bigger, but it was still very early. So in a way, I think I benefited from what I went out and learned. And I was able to put a lot of learning back into CaratLane and help CaratLane in that sense. So I think in a way it worked out well for everybody in that sense. CaratLane benefited, I benefited. I also learned other stuff which I possibly might not have learned had I stayed in CaratLane, because there was nobody to learn from. So I think in the end, I think it turned out great for all of us.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is really all a story with so much of serendipity and things happening, because you reached out for a reference and he's like, why don't you come back? It just shows what good people you are working with, right? And you worked with them in the past as well. So do you see, I hate this because luck is something which is very, dicey thing to ask. Do you see the success of CaratLane and you also going out and coming back with all your learnings to CaratLane again and making it further more successful? Like, do you see part of luck happening anywhere in this picture?
Yeah, absolutely. From from everything, like I said, right, many people tried. We got our timing right. I was not at all connected to Mithun or Gopal. We just met through somebody, and enough things happened along the way, which could have not happened also. So we definitely got lucky. For me, at least, joining CaratLane the first time, joining CaratLane the second time, and a lot of other things working out have an element of luck. But how if you read about serendipity, a key ingredient to increase serendipity in your life is optimism. Okay, so in fact, there's a great book called The Serendipity Mindset. If you read that also talks about optimism as a very key ingredient. And I can say that I am delusionally optimistic. I know Mithun is delusionally optimistic. So I think that when you have, and there are a lot of others also in the CaratLane organization who are very optimistic. And I think when you have so many optimistic people around, you kind of increase the chances of serendipity in your life.
Absolutely. It's better to work with optimistic people, even if delusional optimistic, rather than working with cynical or sadistic ones, right? Who will probably just sink the ship down. So it makes sense. And I absolutely enjoyed this conversation with you, Avnish. Any parting thoughts that you might have to kids or adults or mid-level people who are listening to you? Any parting thoughts?
I mentioned about optimism. I think one thing which I have kind of figured a little recently is I think that you should you can actually increase the luck in your life, because you mentioned that by increasing your optimism and also by increasing the gratitude in your life, the appreciation for good things which happen to you, because that changes the consciousness which you have for what is good around you, which makes you more optimistic. Because you spoke about optimism and serendipity, I think the only thing which I can tell everybody is that you can make it happen in your life if you focus on the gratitude part, and which in turn will enable optimism, and which in turn will enable serendipity in your life.
Yeah, you just gave the code of tweaking the universal law right now in a very, very, very concise manner, which I absolutely love. So thank you so much, Avnish. It was great having you on my podcast, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you. And I hope CaratLane keeps meeting more and more milestones, even though you guys don't create a vision per se, but I hope you just keep breaking your benchmarks and reaching to the stars. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shruti, and all the best to you.
Yeah.